King David's life was one of dedication and love of Hashem. He also loved his wife Bathsheba and his son Solomon very dearly. In addition, he took great pride that he would father the line of the kings of Israel. Solomon, his son, was overflowing with gifts and faith. Like a good father, David recognized early where his son's imperfections lied and tried to nip them in the bud. Solomon was only 12 years old when he became king, so this psalm was written when he was still a boy. Psalm 127 is basically a heart to heart talk King David was giving to his son, Shlomo, the crown prince, interweaving topics of women, religion, and progeny. Because of his son's youth and the nature of his concerns, it was necessary to be oblique. Rashi comments, David saw through divine inspiration that in the future Shlomo would build the temple, and on that day he would marry the daughter of Pharaoh. Concerning this it is written, for this city has aroused my anger and my wrath from the day they built it until today. Therefore the song is asking, what are you gaining, my son, to wander from the omnipresent after that which he does not desire, and for nothing is your labor in it? The Talmud Sanhedrin remarks, Rabbi Yitzchak said when Solomon married Pharaoh's daughter, Gabriel descended and stuck a reed in the sea, which gathered a sandbank around it, on which was built the great city of Rome. The Sonsinu Talmud comments, by this moral weakness, he laid the foundations of a hostile world symbolized by the Talmud as Rome, which overthrew Israel. The kings from the dynasty of David tended to be good kings. Even so, they made good-natured mistakes. King Solomon felt that marrying the daughters of foreign kings would not only result in peace, but would cause many to learn the book of Proverbs as well. It was not successful. When Solomon was old, his wives turned his heart toward other gods, and he did not go fully after Hashem as did David his father. In the book of Ecclesiastes he laments, I find more bitter than death the woman whose heart is snares and nets, her hands are bonds. Whoever is good in God's sight will escape from her, and the sinner will be taken by her. Solomon's son Rehoboam is not a bad king, but later on abandons the Torah. The Meiri explains, David saw that his efforts to build the temple would not succeed, and the prophet Nathan told him that his son would build it. He gives him the advice and counsel typically given at the start of an endeavor. Even though good efforts are being made, he should not place his confidence in these efforts and not think that he will obtain his objectives, because it will not be obtained by his efforts. Rather, everything is from the Almighty, and he arouses one's efforts and he allows one to obtain his objective. The Torah, in fact, had already cautioned about this when it said, and you will say in your heart, my strength in the power of my hand did this magnificence. And you should know that Hashem your God gave you the power to do great things. It also says this generally, if Hashem does not build the house, meaning there would not have been an effort from man's side without God's providence. The psalm then uses the labor a person puts into obtaining his sustenance as an example. Basically, it says that a person can get up early in the morning and work late, and his only gain will be bitter bread. It then continues that God will give his beloved sleep. Rashi explains this means that the Holy One, blessed be He, will support those that banish sleep from their eyes to be busy with the Torah. The basic idea is that hard work alone may only result in aggravation, but doing the will of God often produces satisfaction. There is a hint that all of this is like having children, i.e., many efforts may be fruitless and few efforts may be fruitful. He also praises having good sons and how valuable they can be, hinting that this should be important to him. The Yalkut Shimoni brings an anecdote that Rabbi Judah the prince sent Rabbi Chiya and Rabbi Yosef and Rabbi Ami to work in the cities of the land of Israel. There they were to establish in them scribes and students, so that not a place would be found without a sofer and a student. They asked if there would be guards for the cities. He replied to them, "You are the guards, in that those others do nothing except destroy the city." From where do we learn that you are the guards of the city? Because it says, if Hashem does not guard the city, useless is the diligence of the guard. Rashi sees sons of one's youth as the students a man produces in his youth, as well as wise students that prevail over each other in halakha, who appear as if they are enemies of each other when debating. The lesson seems to be that when a person is engaging in a worthy pursuit, their actions are the body of a success, and the will of God is the soul of the success. If a person's actions do not find favor in the eyes of heaven, they are likely to yield a blemished result. In terms of marriage, a man can consider things like politics and positive influence on others, but the woman herself must be right. She should encourage her husband to go down a good path and certainly not the opposite. In addition, the children she bears should be raised to be moral individuals who pursue wisdom. Thank you.